CQ calling all radio amateurs and listeners. This is Golf Bravo 2 Romeo Sierra, the news broadcasting service of the Radio Society of Great Britain. This broadcast comes to you from amateur radio station Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta in Mapleshall, Bedfordshire. Welcome and thanks for joining us. It's Sunday the 27th of October and here is the GB2RS news broadcast, which was prepared for you by the RSGB and is made available to all radio amateurs and listeners. You can also find this news bulletin on the RSGB website at rsgb.org, along with links to groups and organisations that may be mentioned in this broadcast. This week's headlines. We've released an exciting snapshot video of the girl guiding ISS contact. You can listen to the chair of our Propagation Studies Committee on the latest episode of the ICQ podcast. And we've started to release presentations from our 2024 convention. We'll have more on those items shortly, but first, on the 5th of October, in her first official engagement as Girl Guiding Patron, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Edinburgh joined 100 excited brownies, guides and rangers in making a live amateur radio contact with the International Space Station. The event was organised by the Radio Society of Great Britain and Amateur Radio on the International Space Station, or ARISS as it's usually known, and that was in collaboration with the UK Space Agency, Girl Guiding Surrey West, and the Brooklands Museum's Innovation Academy programme. The aim was to promote the engagement and involvement of girls and young women in science, technology, engineering and mathematics, and everyone had a fantastic day. And after the contact, the girls enjoyed a variety of STEM activities, including making snail Morse keys, playing Morse battleships, learning about the CubeSat simulator, and making stomp rockets. The RSGB has created a short video snapshot of the day, which you can see on its YouTube channel at youtube.com/the RSGB. And why not go and take a look? Now you can listen to the latest episode of ICQ podcast, which features our Propagation Studies Committee Chair, Steve Nichols, G0KYA. During episode 441, Martin Butler, Mike 1 Mike Romeo Bravo, talks to Steve about propagation and how the sunspot cycle has taken off to impact conditions positively. And they also discuss Ham Radio Science Citizen Investigation, which is also known as Ham SCI, which is a collective that enables university researchers to collaborate with radio amateurs in scientific investigations. And to access the interview, select episode 441 at icqpodcast.com and listen from 1 hour and 35 minutes onwards. Our 2024 convention weekend brought together hundreds of visitors and thousands via the live streams. As well as the Convention in a Nutshell video we released last week, we've now published 2 of the main presentations. The first is the keynote speech about the future of amateur radio licensing and education. That was given by Rafał Lukowiecki, Echo India 6 Lima Alpha. And the second looks at inspiring the next generation, and that was by our 2 new youth championships, 2 new youth champions, who are Chris Aitken, Mike 0 Whiskey India Charlie, and Rhys Williams, Mike 0 Whiskey Golf Yankee. And you can find both presentations, as well as the full 2 days of live stream content, in the RSGB 2024 convention playlist, and you'll find that on the Society's YouTube channel. And remember to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss additional presentations when they're published. There's also still time to share your feedback about the in-person event or the live stream, but the feedback forms will close at the end of this month. So head over to rsgb.org/feedback if you attended the event, or to rsgb.org/livestream-feedback if you watched via the live stream, and do let the team know what you enjoyed. If you're thinking of taking an amateur radio exam before Christmas, there are two important dates you need to be aware of. The last date you can take an exam at a club, whether that's online or on paper, is Friday the 13th of December. Now, if you want to take an exam online at home, the last date you can do that is Friday the 20th of December. And the RSGB exams team will, where possible, post out exam results before the headquarters shut over the Christmas and New Year period. Exams will resume on Monday the 6th of January 2025, and the booking system will be available over the festive season, so you can book exams for January onwards. You can book online on the RSGB website at rsgb.org/exam pay, and I'll spell that bit phonetically. It's Echo X-ray Alpha Mike Papa Alpha Yankee. On Friday the 18th of October, the RSGB Mill Hill School and a team of radio amateurs in New Zealand took part in a special celebration to mark the centenary of the first successful two-way trans-global communication, and that was between radio amateurs in the UK and New Zealand. The original contact between Frank Bell, whose call sign was 4 Alpha Alpha in New Zealand, and Cecil Goyder, whose call sign was 2 Sierra Zulu in Mill Hill School in North London, was reenacted at the school on a wavelength as close as possible to the original. Members of Goyder's family watched the reenactment and chatted to pupils. As part of wider celebrations for the day, the school put on activities including a Build a Radio workshop, and students at the school showed significant interest in amateur radio, with a number of students signing up to be part of a new radio club that will be set up by the school's physics teacher. Now, the overall event was led by RSGB Life President Don Beattie, Golf 3 Bravo Juliet, who said that he was delighted by the success of the event and that had given pupils the opportunity to learn how groundbreaking that first radio contact was with New Zealand. Call sign Golf 2 Sierra Zulu was operational for 4 days surrounding the centenary, during which operators achieved approximately 1,250 contacts. And to find out more about this unique celebration, go to www.golfbravo2novemberzulu.com and look for Golf Bravo 2 November Zulu reenactment on the RSGB website. The Memorial Day QSO Party is an activity which gives participants an opportunity to honour amateur radio operators who are now silent key. The event is sponsored and managed by the First Class CW Operators Club, and it's open to all licensed amateurs. The event starts at 0900 UTC on the 1st of November and ends at 0859 UTC on the 2nd. You can get more information at golf4foxtrotoscarcharlie.org, or you can email Mike Delta Quebec Papa at golf4foxtrotoscarcharlie.org, or Michelle Carloni, that's Mike India Charlie Hotel Echo Lima Echo Charlie Alpha Romeo Lima Oscar November Echo at yahoo.it. Now, news that Ofcom has notified stakeholders that the next release of its licensing service will be delayed. That's due to software development issues. According to the Ofcom website, the delays have impacted phases 2 and 3 of the planned changes to the amateur radio licensing framework. Phase 2 includes changes to new intermediate call signs, special event station rules, and restrictions on the number of call signs an individual may hold. Revised plans are expected to be published soon, and you can read the update on the Ofcom website. The address is tinyurl.com/Ofcom OCT24. That's all one word. So Ofcom is Oscar Foxtrot Charlie, Oscar Mike, Oscar Charlie Tango 24. Now, just a reminder for you to please send details of all your news and events to radcom@rsgb.org.uk. The deadline for submissions is 10 a.m. on the Thursday before the Sunday broadcast each week. And now we have details of rallies and events. The Galashiels Rally is on today, the 27th of October. That's being held at the Volunteer Hall, St John Street in Galashiels, and the postcode is Tango Delta 1 3 Juliet X-Ray. The doors will open from 11 a.m. and admission is £3 with refreshments, traders and a bring and buy area to enjoy. For more information, contact Rally Queries at galaradioclub.uk or visit galaradioclub.co.uk. The Holsworthy Radio Rally is on Sunday the 3rd of November. That's being held at Holsworthy Leisure Centre in Well Park on Western Road, Holsworthy in Devon, with traders, a bring and buy area and catering. The event also has disabled access, free car parking and entry is £3 per person. The doors open to traders from 8 a.m. and to the public from 10 a.m. For more information you can email Chris, Mike 0 Kilo November Foxtrot. His email address is boltonbicycles, that's all one word, boltonbicycles@gmail.com. Next we have news of the 12th Scottish Microwave Round Table, or GMRT, which is on Saturday the 9th of November at the Museum of Communication in Burntisland in Fife. Lunch will be provided and there's also an optional dinner which will be held in the evening at a local hotel. Online booking is possible via the GMRT website, which is GM Roundtable, all one word, gmroundtable.org.uk, or you can email Colin. His email address is golfmike4 Hotel Whiskey Oscar @gmail.com. Now we have special event news. George, Mike 0 Juliet November Lima, is active as Golf Bravo 0 Golf Tango Sierra until the 18th of November to raise awareness of homeless military veterans in association with the Great Tommy Sleepout, which is organised by the Royal British Legion Industries. The station will operate on the 80 to 10 metre bands using SSB. There may also be some activity on the 2 metre band. George will operate at least one full night roughing it outside as part of the Great Tommy Sleepout. And more details are available at qrz.com. Look up the call sign Golf Bravo 0 Golf Tango Sierra. Special call sign Sierra X-Ray 80 Foxtrot will operate from various locations including Crete as Sierra Victor 9 / Sierra X-Ray 80 Foxtrot. They'll be operating till the 31st of October, and that's to honour the 80 fallen Greek firefighters and aerial firefighting crews who lost their lives in the line of duty. The station was spotted recently on the 60 metre band using FT8, and you can QSL via Logbook of the World, EQSL and QRZ.com. Paper QSL cards will not be available though. And now we have the DX news. A team of operators is active as Yankee Juliet 0 Victor Victor from Efate, that's IOTA reference Oscar Charlie 035. Efate is in Vanuatu, and they'll be active until the 29th of October. The team is operating SSB, Morse code and digital modes on the 160 to 6 metre bands with 2 high power stations and 7 antennas. You can QSL via Kilo 4 November Hotel Whiskey directly or via the Bureau, and contacts will be uploaded to Club Log and Logbook of the World. Next we have news of Maurizio, India Kilo 2 Golf Zulu Uniform, who's active as 5 Hotel 3 Mike Bravo from Tanzania until the 11th of November while doing volunteer work at a local school. In his spare time, he'll be operating SSB, Morse code and digital modes on the 80 to 10 metre bands. You can QSL via Club Log's OQRS, Logbook of the World, EQSL, or via India Kilo 2 Golf Zulu Uniform. And now we have the contest news. The CQ Worldwide DX SSB contest started at 0000 UTC on Saturday the 26th and it ends at 23:59 UTC today, Sunday the 27th of October. Using SSB on the 160 to 10 metre bands where contests are allowed, the exchange is Signal Report and CQ zone, and the UK is in zone 14, that's 1-4. Tomorrow the 28th, it's the RSGB FT4 contest, which runs from 1900 to 2030 UTC. Using FT4 on the 80 to 10 metre bands where contests are allowed, the exchange is your report. Then on Wednesday the 30th, it's the UK and Ireland Contest Club's 80 metre contest, running from 2000 to 2100 UTC. Using Morse code on the 80 metre band, the exchange is your 6-character locator. The RSGB 144 MHz CW Marconi contest starts at 1400 UTC on Saturday the 2nd and ends at 1400 UTC on Sunday the 3rd of November. Using Morse code on the 2 metre band, the exchange is Signal Report, serial number and locator. The International Police Association Radio Club invites all radio amateurs around the world to take part in its contest, which takes place every year on the first completed weekend in November. This year, the Morse code section will take place on Saturday the 2nd of November from 0600 to 1800 UTC. The SSB section takes place on Sunday the 3rd of November from 0600 to 1800 UTC, and you can find more information about the contest and the award programme at the event's website, which I'll spell phonetically for you. It's India Papa Alpha Romeo Charlie Delta Echo. And now we have the radio propagation report. This was compiled by Golf 0 Kilo Yankee Alpha, Golf 3 Yankee Lima Alpha and Golf 4 Bravo Alpha Oscar on Thursday the 24th of October. Last week's solar conditions couldn't have been much better. We had a week of high solar flux indices, relatively calm geomagnetic conditions, and other than an X-class solar flare, not much else to report. The solar flare originated from active region 3869 and reached a strong X3.3 in the early hours of October the 24th. This event was associated with a coronal mass ejection based on solar dimming following the event, but because the flare location was located off the east limb, it was directed mostly away from Earth. Once again, all the sunspots are in the southern hemisphere, but activity appears to be growing, and this could spell trouble over the next week. The weekend, or this weekend, the 26th and 27th, it's the CQ Worldwide SSB contest, and conditions should be excellent, with a combination of high solar flux and autumnal HF conditions. Maximum usable frequencies are generally higher than 28 MHz from dawn until dusk. At night-time maximum usable frequencies over 3,000 kilometers are still just above 14 MHz, although you might get better results by dropping down to 10 MHz if the 20 meter band doesn't work for you. Next week, NOAA predicts that the solar flux index may rise again, perhaps to hit 185 as we enter November. However, this current batch of sunspots, which are rotating to be Earth-directed next week, appear more active, and we could see more solar flares and coronal mass ejections, which could throw a spanner in the works. A solar flare could impact the ionosphere by increasing D-layer absorption for up to an hour or so, and possibly launch a coronal mass ejection. If a CME does hit the Earth, expect the maximum usable frequency to plummet, at least for a day or two, until the ionosphere recovers. And now we have the VHF and up propagation news. This was compiled by Golf 3 Yankee Lima Alpha and Golf 4 Bravo Alpha Oscar. The autumn equinox period brought some amazing ionospheric propagation to 50 MHz on Thursday last week, with stations in the UK working morning paths to Australia, Japan, DS and XV, among others. Typically, for 50 MHz DX, the skip zones were sharp and moved rapidly. Stations even a few kilometres apart experienced very different signals and paths. and those with a low noise floor had a huge advantage, as signals were generally weak in the UK and only good for FT8. However, some reports of an Australian station at +5 bucked this trend. Next week will offer some reasonable tropo conditions, although not without some occasional interruptions from weak frontal systems, especially in the far southwest and the far northwest of Britain. It's not clear if these represent good rain scatter options, but they are more likely to be temporarily curtailing any tropo for a while. The solar conditions continue to feed the occasional aurora alert our way, so it's always good to monitor the KP index for signs of it increasing above 4. It won't always go on to produce radio aurora, but it's certainly worth keeping an eye on things. The meteor scatter prospects continue to be elevated by the decline of the Orionids, which peaked on Tuesday the 22nd, and also the Taurids, which are very low rate shower but technically cover a broad period into December. The Leonids is the next major shower, but that doesn't peak until mid-November. Lastly, looking at the out-of-season sporadic E prospects, there are always days with minor enhancements of the critical frequency of the sporadic E layer, as shown on the propquest.co.uk graphs. And certainly there are stronger jet streams available in the autumn and winter, but other elements of sporadic E are not so favourable. It's usually a very marginal outcome at best, but nonetheless it's good enough for the 10 or 6 metre bands and mostly for digital modes such as FT8. And it could well be that transequatorial propagation, or TEP, is a more fruitful venture. For moon bounce or EME operators, moon declination is positive but falling and goes negative on Tuesday the 29th. Path losses are rising, they'll reach a maximum at apogee on the morning of Wednesday the 30th. 144 MHz sky noise is low until Friday, the 1st of November, and that's when the sun and the moon are close in the sky. And that's all from the propagation team this week. This is Golf Bravo 2 Romeo Sierra, the news broadcasting service of the Radio Society of Great Britain, being brought to you by amateur radio station Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta in Meppershall, Bedfordshire. Well, now we move across to the local news, and please note that details of all RSGB affiliated clubs and societies are on our website, the RSGB website, and that includes email addresses and website links where known. We'll start off with news for the Midlands, and meetings of the Bolsover Amateur Radio Society take place every other Tuesday. They start at 8 p.m. at the Bainbridge Hall in Bolsover, and the postcode is Sierra 446 Papa X-ray. The next meeting is on Tuesday the 29th of October, and you can get more information and reminders for meetings on the Society's Facebook page, which is at Bolsover ARS, and Bolsover ARS is all one word. The Bromsgrove District Amateur Radio Club meet every Friday from 8 p.m, and members also have a regular coffee morning on Wednesdays in the club shack from 10:30 a.m. Then on Monday and Wednesday evenings they have nets on 145.375 MHz from 7:30 p.m. Burton Amateur Radio Club has open nets around 145.575 MHz at 10 a.m. on Sundays and 8 p.m. on Thursdays. On Monday they'll have slow Morse code exercises on 14.055 MHz starting at 11 a.m, and the club meets in person every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. Central Radio Amateur Circle has a net on 145.575 MHz from 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday and from 12 p.m. on Saturday, and the group will have a Google meeting at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. The Cheltenham Amateur Radio Association has daily nets on 145.400 MHz at 8:10 a.m, and the Friday net is through Golf Bravo 3 Golf Hotel or Golf Bravo 3 Romeo Charlie from 8 p.m. And for more information you can visit their website, which is golf5bravo kilo.uniform kilo. Dudley and District Amateur Radio Society meet every Tuesday from 6 to 10 p.m. at the Wrighton Mill, that's on 59 Vale Street in Upper Gornal, Dudley. and the postcode is Delta Yankee 3 X-ray Foxtrot. Gloucester Amateur Radio and Electronic Society has an informal net every day on 145.475 MHz FM at 3:30 p.m. Then on Monday, members will listen to a talk on Radio Caroline. That's being given by Andrew, Golf 4 India Victor Delta. Then on Wednesday, they have a net from 7:30 p.m. on 145.475 MHz FM. On Thursday, they have another net from 7:30, this time on 145.475 FM, moving to 80 meters SSB later on. Then on Friday, the net moves to 432.220 MHz from 7:30 p.m, and that's on SSB. Today, the 27th, listen out for members of the Hinckley Amateur Radio and Electronic Society who are taking part in the Morse Code CW Worldwide DX SSB contest. That's incorrect. That should say the CQ Worldwide DX SSB contest. No CW in that contest. Kettering and District Amateur Radio Society has a breakfast meeting from 10 a.m. on Sundays, and on Tuesdays there's a club meeting from 7 p.m. The Society's net takes place on Thursdays on 145.300 MHz from 7 p.m. On Monday, Leicester Radio Society will hold a meeting at its club rooms and via Zoom from 7:30 p.m. and on Thursday they'll have a club meeting from 10 a.m. Lincoln Shortwave Club will meet at the BSA Village Hall from 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday and 7:30 a.m. on Saturday. Then on Thursday they'll have a net through Golf Bravo 3 Lima Sierra, or if the repeater's busy they'll use 145.350 MHz. For more information you can visit their website, which is golf5foxtrotzulu.co.uk. On Tuesday, Loughborough and District Amateur Radio Club will have a practical and discussion evening, and for more information visit their website, which is radioclub.org.uk. On Wednesday, Malvern Hills Radio Amateurs Club will have a net on 145.350 MHz FM, and that starts at 8 p.m. Today, the 27th, the Midland Amateur Radio Society will hold an annual general meeting, and they'll be running training classes. Members will meet again on Wednesday, and that's for a construction and training evening. On Thursday, Northampton Radio Club will have a natter night at the Grangewood Club from 8 p.m. And for more information, you can visit their website, which is northamptonradioclub, all one word, .co.uk. On Monday, Nunsfield House Amateur Radio Group will have a shack night and club net on 145.300 MHz from 8 p.m. Then on Friday, members will meet to discuss solar panels. On Monday, RAF Waddington Amateur Radio Club will meet at the Pie Wipe from 8 p.m. and on Friday the club has a net on 145.325 MHz from 7:30 p.m. Rugby Amateur Transmitting Society has weekday nets at 8:30 a.m. on 144.275 MHz USB. They also have training and practice Morse code nets on Monday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. on 144.275 MHz. They start off using upper sideband and then move to Morse code. The Society will also have a meeting from 8 p.m. on Tuesday and from 2 p.m. on Saturday. That's at the Borton Lee 12th Rugby Scouts Hut. Then on Friday they'll have a net from 8 p.m. on 1913 kHz. On Thursday, Solihull Amateur Radio Society will have its club net on the 2 metre band from 8 p.m. South Birmingham Radio Society has open club nights on Fridays from 7:30 p.m. and visitors are also welcome to attend the Society's coffee morning, which is from 10:30 a.m. on Tuesdays. Also on Tuesday, South Derbyshire and Ashby Wolds Amateur Radio Club Group has a net on 144.225 MHz SSB from 7 p.m. Then on Wednesday they'll be having a club evening from 7 p.m. And on Sundays they have a net on 70.425 MHz, also from 7 p.m. On Sundays, Stafford and Districts Amateur Radio Society have their net on 145.375 MHz from 8 p.m. and on Wednesdays members meet at the Wildwood Community Centre from 8 p.m. On Monday, Stourbridge and District Amateur Radio Society will be on the air from Norton Community Centre from 8 p.m. and you can find more on their website, which is golf6oscarindia.org.uk. On Monday, Sutton Coldfield Amateur Radio Society will meet at the Pavilion. That's on 9 Opencroft in Water Orton, and the meeting starts at 8 p.m. On Wednesday, Telford and District Amateur Radio Society will meet for a basic kit construction evening, and you can find more information on their website, which is Tango Delta Alpha Romeo Sierra.org.uk. Wolverhampton Amateur Radio Society meet every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. at the Wednesfield and Woodend British Legion. Then on Sundays they have a net around 145.350 MHz from 8 p.m. You can find more information on their website, which is wolverhamptonars, all one word, .co.uk, or at wolvesars, all one word, on social media. On Sundays, Withall Radio Club has its net on 145.225 MHz from 7 p.m. Well, that's all for the news in the Midlands. We now move down to the South East and East Anglia. Banbury Amateur Radio Society have their net most evenings on 144.5125 MHz FM, and you can find more information on their website, which is Banbury ARES, that's all one word, banburyares.co.uk. On Wednesday, Bishop Stortford Amateur Radio Society has its net from 8 p.m. on 145.5625 MHz, and everyone's welcome to join in. On Thursday, the Bitton DX group will meet at the Spread Eagle pub in Erpingham. On Sundays, Bracknell Amateur Radio Club has its net through Golf Bravo 3 Bravo November from 5 p.m. and through Golf Bravo 3 Alpha Lima from 5:30 p.m. Then on Wednesday, the club has a net on 145.375 MHz FM from 8 p.m. On Tuesday, the Braintree and District Amateur Radio Society will meet through the Golf Bravo 3 Bravo Zulu repeater from 8 p.m. and everyone's welcome to join in. On Saturday, Breed Stream Amateur Radio Society will have a club meeting, and for more information you can visit their website, which is Bravo Sierra Alpha Romeo Sierra.co.uk. The Bredhurst Receiving and Transmitting Society meet in its shack every Wednesday from 7 p.m. and they also have a net through Golf Bravo 3 Delta Alpha on Thursdays. On Wednesday, Bromley and District Amateur Radio Society will have a net starting on 145.500 MHz from 9 p.m. and you can find more information on their website, which is Bravo Delta Alpha Romeo Sierra.wordpress.com. Burnham Beeches Radio Club has its net from 10:30 a.m. on Sundays, starting on 145.500 before moving to 145.275 MHz. Then on Saturday there'll be a net on 7.063 MHz from 4:30 p.m. The Bury St Edmunds Amateur Radio Society meet at the Rougham Tower Museum on the third Wednesday of each month. It's a small but very active club, and they have club nets every day of the week except Sunday. You can find details on the club's website, which is Bravo Sierra Echo Alpha Romeo Sierra.co.uk, and the club's general chat frequencies are 144.7375 MHz FM and 433.400 MHz FM. On Sundays, Chelmsford Amateur Radio Society has a Morse code net on 144.060 MHz from 8 p.m. and on Monday they have Morse code classes from 7:30 p.m. around 3542 kHz, and that's followed at 8:15 p.m. by Golf Bravo 2 Charlie Whiskey slow Morse transmissions on 3555 kHz. Then on Tuesday they have a top band net, and on Thursday there'll be more Morse code classes through Skype, and that starts at 7 p.m. On Tuesday, the Chelsea Pensioners Radio Club have their net on 145.375 MHz from 2 p.m. On Tuesday, Colchester Radio Amateurs Club has its net on 433.400 MHz from 7 p.m. and on 1.920 MHz lower sideband from 8 p.m. Then on Wednesday they meet on 145.350 at 7 p.m. and on Thursday the club has an open net on 3.685 MHz from 7 p.m. On Friday they have an open DX net that's held on 14.125 MHz with help on 145.350 MHz from 2:30 p.m. On Sundays, Coulsdon Amateur Radio Society or Amateur Transmitting Society has nets on 145.400 MHz from 11 a.m. and on 3.700 MHz from 5 p.m. And on Wednesday they have a net around 70.425 MHz from 9 p.m. Crawley Amateur Radio Club meets from 11 a.m. on Sundays, 8 p.m. on Wednesdays and 2 p.m. on Fridays. The club meet at Hut 18, that's on Tilgate Drive in Crawley, and the postcode is Romeo Hotel 105 Hotel Whiskey. And for more information you can contact Stuart, Golf 3 Yankee Sierra X-Ray. His phone number is 0772 006 8493. The Cray Valley Radio Society is located at the Scout headquarters just behind 61 to 71 Southend Crescent. That's in Eltham in London, and the postcode is Sierra Echo 9 to Sierra Delta. They have a 2-meter and FM net. The 2-meter net is held on 145.350 MHz on Sunday at 10 a.m. and the 4-meter net is on 70.425 MHz on Friday at 8 p.m. They also have a top band SSB net which moves to AM. That's held on the first Monday of each month around 1905 kHz at 8 p.m. On Wednesdays, the Crystal Palace Radio and Electronics Club has a net on 145.525 MHz from 8 p.m. and on Saturdays the club's net is on 51.550 MHz FM starting at 8 p.m. On Sundays, Darenth Valley Radio Society have their net on 145.475 MHz at 8 a.m. The Dorking and District Radio Society has a net each day from Monday to Saturday. It's held on 144.775 MHz FM at 10 a.m. Essex Ham has a net on Monday through Golf Bravo 3 Delta Alpha at 8 p.m. and they also have chat room and audio feed at essexham.net. Today the 27th, it's the Farnborough and District Radio Society's annual general meeting. And for more information you can go to their website, which is Farnborough Radio, that's all one word, farnboroughradio.org.uk. On Sundays, the Felixstowe and District Amateur Radio Society have their net on 145.400 MHz from 10 a.m. and on Wednesday they have a net through Golf Bravo 3 India Hotel from 7:30 p.m. On Tuesday, members of the Harlow and District Amateur Radio Society will have a technical meeting from 10 a.m. and on Wednesday they have a net on 145.425 MHz at 7:30 p.m. On Thursday they have a digital net on the XLX215 reflector, and on Friday the Society will meet from 8 p.m. and visitors are welcome to attend. The Hastings Electronics and Radio Club hold their daily net on the Golf Bravo 3 Echo Sierra repeater at 10 a.m. They also have a Morse code net on Monday nights at 8 p.m. on 144.575 MHz. The Morse code net is aimed at anyone new to Morse code or who wishes to brush up on their Morse skills, and non-members are welcome to take part. The net is then followed by general conversation. On Wednesdays, usually at 1 p.m, members meet up at various locations in the area for an afternoon of portable operating on the air on both HF and VHF using SSB, Morse code and FM. Non-members are welcome to visit, and as the details do vary each week, it's a good idea to visit their website on the Wednesday morning to see what the up-to-date information is about where they're going to meet and at what time. And the website address is hastings-electronics-radio-club.com. Tomorrow the 28th, it's the Hogbacks Amateur Radio Club's Autumn Quiz. On Tuesday, Horndean District Amateur Radio Club will have a Morse code net at 9 a.m. around 1950 kHz, moving to SSB at 9:30. And there's another net on Wednesday around 1950 kHz using SSB from 7:30 p.m. On Sundays, the Isle of Wight Radio Society have their net through Golf Bravo 7 Papa Oscar and Golf Bravo 7 Mike Tango from 8 p.m. And they also have a net from Monday to Friday through Golf Bravo 3 India Whiskey from 6:15 a.m. Then on Tuesday, they take part in the Bramble net through Golf Bravo 3 India Whiskey from 7:30 p.m. On Thursday, they have another net through Golf Bravo 3 India Whiskey, followed by a Zoom meeting from 8 p.m. Then on Friday, members meet at Haylands Farm in Ryde, and foundation and intermediate licence training is available at those meetings. Loughton and Epping Forest Amateur Radio Society have their net on Wednesday from 8 p.m. on Brandmeister DMR Talk Group 23511. On Thursday, they have a net from 8 p.m. on 144.725 MHz FM, and on Friday they'll meet for a Fish and Chips night. That's at All Saints House, starting at 8 p.m. Lowestoft District and Pye Amateur Radio Club have their net on Sundays on 433.575 MHz at 7 p.m. And on Tuesday they also have a net, this time on 145.475 from 7 p.m. The club meets in person on Thursday evenings from 7:30 p.m. and the final net of the week is on Friday, and that's held on 51.490 MHz from 7 p.m. The Martello Tower Group has its net every Monday evening at 8 p.m. through Golf Bravo 3 Charlie Lima. On Sundays, the group has a net through Golf Bravo 3 Charlie Echo from 8 p.m. Medway Amateur Receiving and Transmitting Society nets take place each weekday from 9:30 a.m. on 144.650 MHz. On Friday, members will meet at the Tunbury Hall, that's on Catkin Close, and that's from 7:30 p.m. Tomorrow, the 28th, the Milton Keynes Amateur Radio Society will listen to a talk being given by Mike, Victor Alpha 3 Mike Whiskey, and that's on the subject of getting started in remote HF radio. Then on Wednesday, they have a net on 28.390 MHz from 8 p.m. And on Friday, the Society will meet via Zoom for coffee and a chat starting at 10:30 a.m. Norfolk Amateur Radio Club will have a net through Golf Bravo 3 November Bravo on Monday and every Monday from 7:30 p.m. and that's followed by a Morse code net on 3543 kHz at 8:30 p.m. On Thursday at 8 p.m, the Reading and District Amateur Radio Club have a top band net on 1850 kHz lower sideband, plus or minus interference. Shefford and District Radio Society has a regular top band net on Monday evenings at 7 p.m. on 1.985 MHz, and they also have a net every Wednesday at 8 p.m. through Golf Bravo 3 Papa India, and that's so you can catch up with news, activities and developments. This coming Thursday, members will listen to a talk by Graham, Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta, on the subject of a versatile multiband HF antenna technique. On Wednesday, Southdown Amateur Radio Society will have a cafe meeting at 12:15 p.m. and this will be followed by a net through Golf Bravo 3 Zulu X-Ray from 2 p.m. On Friday, the Society will meet at the Old Town Community Centre in Eastbourne from 8 p.m. Stevenage and District Amateur Radio Society meet every Tuesday evening from 7:30 p.m. at the Stevenage Resource Centre on Chells Way, Stevenage, and the postcode is Sierra Golf 20 Lima Tango. They have free tea, coffee and biscuits for everyone who attends. There's also a net which is held on Friday evenings on the 80 metre band around 3726 kilohertz. And they also have a VHF net, usually on the last Friday of each month from 8 p.m. on 145.450 megahertz. The club uses its club call sign Golf 3 Sierra Alpha Delta, and everyone's welcome to join in regardless of club membership. You can find more information on the club's website, which is Sierra Alpha Delta Alpha Romeo Sierra.com. On Sundays, on Sundays, the Surrey Radio Contact Club have their net on 1905 kilohertz at 9:30 a.m. and on Monday the net is on 3710 kilohertz from 9 a.m. On Tuesday at 8 p.m. they meet on 51.550 megahertz. Then on Wednesday the net is on 28.078 megahertz using JS8 mode from 10 a.m. On Thursday they meet on 70.300 megahertz from 8 p.m. whilst on Friday the net is on 144.6125 megahertz D star, and that's from 7:30 p.m. And there's also an FM net on 145.350 megahertz from 8 p.m. On Friday, Thames Amateur Radio Group will hold its annual general meeting from 8 p.m. and you can find more information on their website, which is thamesarg, that's all one word, thamesarg.org.uk. The West Kent Amateur Radio Society has regular weekly nets. You can find details of these and other club information on their website, which is Whiskey Kilo Alpha Romeo Sierra.org.uk. Then on Monday, the Society will enjoy an illustrated talk about antenna simulation. That's being given by Phil, Golf 3 Mike Golf Quebec. On Friday, Whitton Amateur Radio Group will have a club night, and that includes HF and VHF operating. For more information, you can visit their website, which is Whiskey Alpha Romeo Golf .dreamhosters, that's all one word, dreamhosters.com. Well, that concludes this week's GB2RS news broadcast, which was brought to you by myself, Graham, Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta, and I'm located in Meppershall, Bedfordshire. The news was compiled by the Radio Society of Great Britain, who represent amateur radio and radio amateurs in the UK and abroad. If you have a news item to share, then please email it to us as far in advance as possible so we can include it for you free of charge in the GB2RS news broadcast, Radcom magazine and the RSGB website. Send it to the editorial team, whose email address is radcom@rsgb.org.uk. And if your news item is time sensitive, then please be sure to send it to us by 10 a.m. on the Thursday prior to the news broadcast. The RSGB will retain copyright over all material transmitted. You can find information about amateur radio on our website, which is rsgb.org. And you can also download the full schedule of GB2RS broadcasts from rsgb.org/GB2RS schedule. Well, this morning I'm currently away at work, so I'm operating the station automatically. So I do regret that I can't take calls after the close of the news, but I will be back live later this evening for the 160 metre news broadcast at 9:30 p.m. on 1990 kilohertz. Well, we wish you 7-3 from the GB2RS news team. We hope you have a lovely Sunday and a great week ahead, and I shall be back again next week. 7-3 everyone, this is Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta, now going QRT.